My name is Ken Grossman. I'm the founder of Sierra Nevada Brewery. For our 30th anniversary, we released a series of beers called Sierra 30, a collaboration of pioneering brewers. When we first came up with this concept on, let's bring together some of the very early pioneers and the people who were really instrumental in the whole craft movement, Fritz was the obvious choice. I mean, he really is the grandfather, the godfather of the industry, but he deserves a lot of credit. At times, I think people forget that if it wasn't for Fritz Maytag, who was out there in front and ahead of us, we probably wouldn't be where we are today, both as a company for me and as an industry. And then with Jack McAuliffe, who was also an early pioneer that went from home brewer to commercial brewer, and that was part of what inspired me to open my first brewery. And then having Fred here, Fred wrote the first book in 1970 that I got my hands on, I think right when it was published. He was really instrumental in showing me how to be a good home brewer and providing information on home brewing. And then Charlie Papazian, a few years later, was also a great inspiration for the whole homebrewing movement, and then later on, instrumental in the whole craft brewing celebration. We all started, in the 70s, and I remember being with Fred in Oakland, meeting Fritz for the first time back in '78, I think, well before I had the notion of opening a brewery. And that sort of planted the seed that, what Fritz was doing and what Jack was doing was something that was something that I might be able to accomplish if I put my mind to it.
When we talk about the good old days, there aren't very many people, believe me, who know what we were talking about. Ken and I were there, and really nobody else was. When I first got involved with Anchor, people used to ask me, what's the difference between your beer and regular beer? Which tells you right there that that was the problem, that the concept was that there was regular beer.
When we first started, I didn't have a hot work pump. So we had a trap door, and I would lift that up with a come-along so it would gravity flow. All personnel had to be above that hot hoist. I can tell you that. If you drop that, man, you're going to get scalded.
In the early 70s, late 60s, when people began to travel a whole lot more, people were coming back to the States saying, wow, I had this wonderful beer, and they would scratch their heads and say, why can't I get it here?
Well, the family name of craft beer should be Style, because that's what we've done to beer. Before we started all this, one brewer made one kind of beer, period, or maybe two, a light and a dark, or maybe three, with an ale off in the corner somewhere. We're not doing that. We are doing every kind of beer you can think of, and some kinds that haven't been thought of yet. And we're having fun at it. And we're getting a lot of people to do it, and a lot more of them to drink it. I think that's important.
So we're going to do 4 beers as part of this series. We'll be doing one with Fritz and one with Charlie and Fred, and then one with Jack McAuliffe. And then the 4th beer will be one we're doing internally.
When Ken approached me with the idea of a collaborative brew to help celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, I thought it was a cool idea, and I felt kind of actually pretty special to be asked, really, because I think the world of Ken, and I also think the world of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company as a pioneering brewery here in the United States.
He will make some test brews and eventually come up with a brew that satisfies him and me, and sell it as a special charitable fundraising celebration type of a thing. It's a nice idea.
I think there's a fair amount of mutual admiration amongst this group of people. I mean, we've been through a lot. We've seen a lot change in the world. I mean, the brewing industry is so different than it was 30 years ago.
Being together with Fred Eckhart and Fritz Maytag and Ken Grossman for how many hours? 4 hours, just being able to talk and over a casual beer was, I think it's an experience for me that I've always dreamt of having, and those are rare experiences.
Here's to Ken and Sierra Nevada's anniversary.
30 years.
Brought us all together.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, and all you others.
Terrific industry partnership.
It's been a great experience to be able to sit down over a few beers and spend a number of hours talking about sort of where we see the future, as well as a lot that happened in our past.